Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Okay, so first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Lucas. I am an actor. I work for the Performers Inc. It's a theatre company based in Barcelona. I come all the way from Barcelona to tell you this story. I am a storyteller as well. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the fall of the house of Usher. This is a story by Edgar Allan Poe. Have you read it? Yes. Some of you did, some of you didn't. Okay, for the ones that did read it, then it's going to be much easier to understand. For the ones that didn't read it, don't worry. You just need to pay attention to the whole context. That means it is not important if you don't understand every word that I say, okay? Because it has kind of high-level vocabulary. So it's not important if you don't understand every single word. The important thing is that you follow the thread of the story. And in order for you to do that, I am going to act out every action and every character. Can we close this door as well? Yes? Thank you. So, do you know the meaning of the title of this story? The Fall of the House of Usher. Do you know what it means? Fall means collapse, right? As everything going down. House, of course you know it, and Usher is the family name of the people that owns this house. Okay, if while you listen to this story, there is some doubt, any doubt or any question, you can keep it for the very last part of the storytelling session, where I will give you the chance to ask questions if you have any doubts. Okay, so at the very end of the session, you will be given the chance to ask questions. I think that's it for now. Do you want to start listening to this story? Okay, let's go. Yes, there is a mystery that hides in the Usher house, which fell into obscurity years ago. You know what I speak about, but may not admit somehow, for it inspires terror wherever you look. It catches you unawares, leaves you breathless within a few seconds, and it is right there where you are lost. So you'd better watch out, it's right behind you, you'd better sneak out before it grabs you. You'd better watch out, it's right behind you, you'd better sneak out before it grabs you. Open up yourself, I remind you, for what you see today may disarm you. So you'd better watch out, it's right behind you, you'd better sneak out before it grabs you. and soundless day, in the autumn of the year, I had been passing alone, on horseback, through a singularly boring area of country, and found myself within the view of the melancholy house of Usher. I know not what it was, but with the first sight of the building, a sense of insufferable darkness got the control of my spirit. What was it? I paused to think. What was it that so frightened me in the contemplation of the house of Usher? I reined my horse to the abrupt edge of a black lake, and I looked down. In this mansion of obscurity, I now proposed to myself a holiday of some weeks. Its proprietor, Roderick Usher, had been one of my best companions in boyhood. But many years had passed since our last meeting. A letter, however, had lately reached me in a distant part of the country, a letter from him. Dear friend, I kindly ask for your immediate attendance in my family house. I have gone through a severe bodily illness. I suffer from a mental disorder which oppresses me. Therefore, I have an intense desire to see you as you are, my best and indeed my only personal friend. I expect your visit to alleviate my malady, to get me out of this hole where I feel I am trapped right now. I hope to cause you no inconvenience. Kindest regards, Roderick Usher. I couldn't hesitate. Although as boys we had been intimate friends, I really knew little of my friend. His reserve had always been excessive and habitual. I was aware that his family had been known for a peculiar sensibility of temperament. When I again uplifted my eyes to the house, I found that no portion of the building material had fallen. Perhaps the eye of an expert might have discovered a barely perceptible fissure made its way down the wall in a zigzag direction until it became lost. Noticing these things, I approached and knocked on the door. A servant opened.
Sir?
Yes, I would like to see Roderick Usher.
Yes, sir. If you just come in.
As soon as I came in, I was asked to take off my boots. My boots?
Do you mind taking them off?
Taking them off? What on earth for?
I am sure Mr. Roderick will explain to you, sir.
Strange request. And so I did. That was the first time I had ever been asked to take off my boots, and the butler went away for Roderick.
Sir, if you care to put these on, sir. This way, sir.
The servant now threw open a door and ushered me into the presence of his master. The room in which I found myself was very large, with a high roof. The windows were long and narrow and pointed. There were many books and musical instruments, but gave no vitality to the room. In fact, I felt I breathed an atmosphere of sorrow. Upon my entrance, Usher arose from a sofa and greeted me with a vivacious hug.
My friend, I was so eager to see you, my friend. I am sure your visit will comfort me a lot. I am going through very difficult times due to my malady. I suffer from a constitutional and a family evil, one for which I despair to find a remedy. I have an affliction of the hearing. Sounds of any exaggerated degree cut into my brain like knives. I suffer from a morbid sharpness of the senses. The most insipid food is alone endurable. I can wear only garments of certain texture. The odors of all flowers are oppressive, and my eyes are tortured by even a faint light. And as I said, sounds of any degree whatsoever inspire me with terror. That's why your servant asked me to remove my boots, I guess. Yes, I gave you those slippers to wear instead. I am sorry. I am very sorry. And even so, I could hear you coming. Every footstep, every rustle of your clothes. I could hear your horse.
your knock. I can hear the rats within the stone wall. 3/4 of my family have fallen into madness, and in their madness, they have acquired a superhuman strength. Do you not exaggerate, Roderick? I mean, perhaps there have been in your family certain peculiarities of temperament. Peculiarities of temperament. I do admit, my friend, that much of my temperament has a palpable origin. The severe and long-continued illness of my tenderly beloved sister, Lady Madeleine. Her disease would leave me the last of the ancient race of the Ushers. As he spoke, the Lady Madeleine passed through a remote portion of the apartment, and without having noticed my presence, she disappeared. Madeleine, don't call her. You mustn't wake her. The shock could be very harmful. What do you mean? She walks. She walks in her sleep. And where does she go? She's obsessed. She's obsessed by thoughts of death. Poor sister. She goes down to the family vault. Then she lies on her coffin. She lies down in her coffin until I take her back to her room. Her own coffin? That is monstrous. There is one for me too. The vault waits for us. Can't you see what you're doing to yourself? You don't understand. No sooner had he finished his phrase, he went down for Madeleine and took her to her room. For some days, Madeleine was unmentioned by either Usher or myself. We painted and we read together, or I listened as if in a dream to the wild improvisations of his speaking guitar.
gone? Oh, so long, I'm hardly aware of it anymore. It is just the settling of the house. That certainly can cause this entire house to shake, this entire structure to collapse. That doesn't worry you? Oh, no, my friend. If the house dies, I shall die with it. It's that fissure that causes the entire house to shake. Don't you think that crack in the wall should be repaired? For future generations of ushers? No, for your own safety. It is that crack which causes the trembling of the house. And I also noticed a singular lack of vegetation in the area. Is there something wrong with the soil? Roderick, is there any type of information that you are hiding? Is there anything that I should know that you are not telling me? What's the problem with Madeleine and you? What is the problem with this house? There is something that I should not tell you, but I think in the end it will serve you. I will ask you to be very sincere. On this case, I need you to be clear. There is a secret that hides in this house, but you may find it just too hard to trust. I can see this is all a big confusion, unless you tell me and we'll arrive at no conclusion. Understand, we are all very scared. It is no easy story to bear. There is no story that I cannot pass, even less one where a house is behind. This paranoia is getting to you all, and it's not making you happy at all. No! Don't tell me I don't want to get well or live a happy life, because I won't allow you. My sister and I are ill, and the only thing I want is to find a remedy. What I'm going to tell you right now is something you mustn't repeat in your life. The description of what really happens with the Usher house. Once there were trees full of life, there were fields of grain, there was beauty around. The water was clear and fresh, long before my time. But something spread over the land and destroyed all the existence of life. The flowers died and the lake became this time. The house is centuries old. It was brought here from England with evil in the stones. Evil is a reality. The house is evil now. You think this is just another spooky story, don't you? But it is true. Then tell me more. I can tell you no more, believe it or not. It's all nonsense, it can't be true. There's nothing else I can say. The house of Usher seems to you then normal? The history of the Ushers is a history of savage degradations. And always in this house, most of this evil resides in Madeleine and myself. If Madeleine had children, the Usher evil would spread malignant and cancerous. This tarn is very deep.
One of the Usher women drowned in it.
She was never found.
I dare say it is deep enough to
swallow the entire house.
And this is your secret. Even if it were true, even if this house were full of evil, you are not, and Madeleine is not. That evening, having been informed me abruptly that the Lady Madeleine died, Roderick stated his intention of preserving her corpse for a fortnight in one of the numerous vaults within the main walls of the building. At the request of Usher, I personally helped him in the arrangements for the temporary funeral. The door of the vault, of massive iron, had been similarly protected. Its immense weight caused an unusually sharp, grating sound as it moved upon its hinges. We were twins, and there has always been a strong connection between us. Oh, look, there is a soft blush upon her face and a persistent smile upon her lip. It's usual in maladies of a cataleptical character. But she's dead. She lives no more. Well, at least she has found peace. She has found peace now. Has she? Why do you say that?
Because I do not believe that for the Ushers there is peace hereafter.
Is there no end to your horrors?
No. There can be no peace without penalty.
I only knew her death was inevitable, as my own is inevitable. She must now take her place with the rest of the Ushers. The body having been encoffined, we two alone bore it to its rest. The vault in which we placed it was small, humid, and entirely without means of admission for light. And now, some days of bitter sorrow having passed, an observable change over the features of the mental disorder of my friend, I could see his ordinary manner had vanished. The paleness of his face had turned into a horrifying tone, and the luminousness of his eye had totally gone out. At times I was obliged to resolve all into the pure madness, for I saw him gazing, absent-minded, for long hours in an attitude of the profoundest attention, absent-minded, as if listening to some imaginary sound. It was no wonder that his condition terrified me. Upon going to bed late in the night of the 7th or 8th day after the death of Lady Madeline, I couldn't get to sleep. I struggled to think of the nervousness which had dominion over me. I uplifted myself upon the pillows, and I peered with effort within the intense darkness of the room. Wild amazement, I did actually hear a low and apparently distant, but cruel, prolonged, and most unusual screaming sound. Do you know that I can hear every sound that she makes? That I hear her breathing in her coughing? I heard her first gasp as she awoke, her first scream of terror. Do you know that I can hear the scratching of her fingernails on the coffin lid? You are mad. Be done! What? What? No. I think I am delirious. No, you said be done. Be done. What did you mean? Nothing. Roderick. Is she still alive? No. Is she? Yes. Even now I can hear her. Can you not hear her voice? Where? In the name of God, where? Below. Twisting and turning, scratching at the lid with bloody fingernails, staring, screaming, wild with fury, the strength of madness in her. Can you not hear her voice? She calls my name. We put her living in the tomb.
Her footstep on the stair? Do you not distinguish that heavy and horrible beating of her heart? The huge antique doors flew slowly back. Then, without those doors, there did stand the figure of Lady Madeline of Usher. There was blood upon her white robes. For a moment, she remained trembling. Then, with a low, moaning cry, she fell heavily inward. The person of her brother. I ran away, horrified, from that mansion. There was a furious storm, and I found myself crossing the causeway. Suddenly, there shot along the path a white light, and I turned to see where the gleam so unusual could have originated. The barely perceptible fissure of which I had spoken before as extending from the roof of the building in a zigzag direction to the base rapidly widened, and the deep and dark lake at my feet closed silently over the fragments of the house of Usher. That was the end of the story. Thank you. A chance to ask questions if you have any. You have 5 minutes or so. If you can ask them in English, even better. If not, I would ask the teachers to help me translate. You put up your hand, I will give you the turn, and you ask. So, is there any question, anything that you didn't understand that you would like to ask about? If you don't, I have some questions for you, okay, to check if you understood. If there is anyone that knows the answer for my question, you just put up your hand and I will give you a turn. So let's go from the very end. It's just 2 or 3 questions that I have for you. The first question, from the very end of the story, what happens with the house? Does anybody know? Someone is dead, you said? Roderick. Okay, that would be a question. If Roderick is dead, yes, he is. Why is he dead? Because what happens with the house?
It collapses.
Exactly, the house collapses, the house falls. That's why we have the title of the story, The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, what makes it collapse? Yes? The fissure? That's what he said? Perfect, exactly, the fissure. You know that at the very beginning and now in the end of the story, I was talking about a fissure that goes from the very roof, from the very top, to the base of the building. This fissure opens, widens. Why? Because there was a heavy storm and it makes the lake absorb, basically, suck the entire structure down the lake. Very good. Okay, one more question. What about Madeleine? What happened with her? We know that because of the house collapses, they all die. But what happens just before this? What do you think happens with Madeleine? What happens with her entombment? Do you know? What happens with Madeleine? Yes? Huh? She's sick? She's sick mentally, you say? Like mentally ill? Both of them are, okay, because they are obsessed with death, with like death ideas. That's correct. Now, what happens so that she comes back for her brother? You know that there is a part in the story where Madeleine appears, comes back from the vault and goes for her brother. Why is she so angry at him? This is a very important thing of the story. Yes? Very good, because she was buried alive. Exactly. So she was buried, she was put in the coffin, but she was not dead. In fact, she was still alive. So she comes out of the coffin and goes for her brother. Okay, so if there is any part of the story that you're not very sure about, you can always, in the class, you can write the questions down. If you have any questions, you can write them down. You give them to your teachers, and the teachers can send them, so I can answer them back to you. I will be very glad to receive your questions, okay? Thank you very much for having chosen us, and let's give ourselves a big round of applause, and thank you.